So what's this tea called?
It's called, you would be surprised, it's called Clitoria.
Okay.
Clitoria ternate.
Nice.
Because the flower itself, it's shaped like clitoris.
Yeah.
It's blue.
Yeah.
They call it blue pigeon pea.
Okay.
And it's originally from an island in the Spice Islands in Indonesia called Ternate. So native of that island. So because of the shape, and it's Clitoria. It's a really funny name, but
And does it do anything?
yes, there's a lot of benefits.
What does it do?
Blood sugar, many things, reduce anxiety, lots of other stuff. Yeah.
It's subtle.
Pardon?
It's a subtle tea.
Yeah, it's a
you
very
know?
subtle tea, very subtle tea.
Yeah.
Cheers, my dear.
Cheers.
Cheers, and thank you so much for coming and having a conversation.
No worries. Hey, my pleasure.
This is beautiful Kane, super talented musician. I admire him a lot, and I'm not alone to admire him. A lot of musicians here admire Kane, and we have a lot of respect for you being an artist, being an awesome person, and contribute so much to Byron as a society in terms of art and creativity. And Kane has been here for a few years, escaping Sydney.
Quite a while now, like 6 years now.
6 years?
6 years, yeah. Because I came up here in 2020.
Yeah.
Right, so just when the plague was starting, came up here and didn't really look back, you know.
Yeah.
Have you got a good level there?
No, I'm just trying to see where the level is. Doesn't show, because usually
Two.
Should see.
That, yeah, you can see it there on the bottom. See on the
Where can I see it there?
on the meter there.
Oh, yeah,
My
yeah,
one's on
okay.
the right, and
Yeah.
so ba. See?
Is yours good?
Yeah. Looks
Okay,
good.
Great. Sorry.
Yeah. That's all right. Got to get the levels. Showbiz, baby. Yeah, I came up this way because I wanted to get out of the city. As soon as people started like taking toilet paper off the shelf, that's when I was like, it's time to get out of the city. People are going crazy. So came up here. My folks live up this way. They moved up here a few years before 2020 in about 2018 or something.
Yeah.
And then, just started making a nice friendship circle and became part of a band as well in like 2021. And that was together for a few years, and that was really nice to be a part of. That was called The New Language.
The New Language?
Yeah, and it was a bunch of like songwriters coming together.
Wow.
So we were all songwriters singing and playing together.
This was in Byron?
It was in Byron, yeah.
Wow.
This was in 2021 we started. And that was really beautiful to be a part of. But as all good things do, it came to an end.
Oh, yeah.
And I won't go into why it came to an end, but, let's just say that it can be hard with many different creative people.
Oh, yes.
With different personalities and different, Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, like different wanting all at once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess. And it's never.
But it was beautiful while it lasted.
So you think it was worth it to come up this way and pretty much settle here now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I never really think about myself as settling anywhere, even though I've been here for a while. I always just like, I'll be in a place and then I'll get itchy feet and then I'll move on for a little bit or go somewhere else. It's kind of feels sometimes like it's getting towards that point here, because 6 years is like, 5 years tends to be like kind of the limit in which I'll stay in a place and then I move somewhere else and like kind of start again.
Yeah.
But I am getting older now, so there's like that limit, that feeling of like tiredness within the soul of like moving around and starting again and all that, So, and I have made a lot of good friends up this way, and I feel like very much a part of the community, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to get out of Byron, as you know. It's like you can't. If you just kind of stick around here, as beautiful as it is, I feel like you can get a little bit lost and just a little bit wishy-washy. You got to kind of get out and go somewhere else, get a bit more grounded, and then come back, and then you realize how beautiful it is again.
I think that's fair. It's a fair understanding of being in Byron. Even myself, I get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. It's beautiful. I mean, I have a great relationship with nature, and like you, also you connect with people locally. But then it gets to a point where all of us need to escape this bubble.
Yeah.
But you need to escape to a different kind of space where it's also very open, because if you go to like a closer space than Byron mentality wise, then it's not so great, I found. I'm not sure what it's like for you.
Like what kind of places?
Well, like to a bigger
Bigger spots.
Yeah, to get out of here need to be more open, bigger spot. If I go
Yeah.
to
Well, yeah, I mean, that's generally the same experience. It's like you got to get out, you go somewhere else, it's not as good. So you come back. But it's all part of it. I think you've got to get out you got to get out of the bubble to appreciate the bubble.
Yes.
Otherwise, you don't appreciate the bubble.
And so musically, have you collaborated? I mean, you did just mention this a lot of songwriters.
Yeah.
Have you produced a lot of albums being here?
No, I
albums
haven't. That's something that I would say that's definitely in my life been a weakness of mine. Generally, I think because I am a bit of a traveler and I always am kind of moving about. I live a nomadic lifestyle, so I'm always kind of on the road. Like I've got a truck that I live in that's converted, and because of that, it means that it can be hard setting up all your gear, trying to record while moving around, and by the time you set up all your gear, you're kind of like
tired.
Yeah, you're over it. You don't want to do it, so you're like, okay, and then it's time to move on. So it's like, so you don't end up doing it. Sometimes you do, but it's very rare. But in the last few weeks, I've actually just gotten a spot in the industrial here, a little rehearsal studio. Shout out to Jasper at Sound Lounge, Byron Bay. And that's been really good because it's given me a spot to have all my gear set up.
Oh, great.
And then just like practice, and because a lot of the time I don't really get to practice as much because I'm like, the only time I'm kind of playing is at gigs, you know? And like, apart from that, I'll be like, I might strum on an acoustic guitar and have a little sing.
Yeah.
But I can't practice in depth things that you would do when you're doing a show. So that's been really nice, having a spot to be able to work on my craft and songwrite and do all these things. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, that's a loaded big question because there's a lot there, but I'm looking to change that. I do want to start being more of a producing artist that's making songs and tracks for people to listen to online. There's a couple of songs up there.
Yeah.
But I've definitely got a whole backlog of original tracks, and it's kind of like a running joke from people. It's like, when's the album coming out, you know?
I thought you already have, like when I saw you first, I was, of course, mind blown, and I thought, oh my God, who is he? And my friend and I couldn't walk away. We just stayed until your show was finished. We stayed around to listen to you, and so I thought all this time you have many albums already.
No, there's
You're
one.
So good.
Thank you. There's just one album online. It's just 3 tracks, which is a live session that I did literally because the guy who recorded me was like, come into the studio. I'll pretty much do it for free for you. I want to record you, you know? And I was like, okay, let's go. And then so I got some musicians in for the day. We didn't even really rehearse, and we just recorded, and it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. There's so much pressure now on this like record, and like there's a lot of people that are like going, when's it come, what's all that? And the honest truth is I haven't even been working on it, you know? Like it's like, and the thing is, I'm a working musician, as you know, so I'm like, usually I'm doing like 4 shows a week, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's like
that's a
12
lot.
hours of playing at least a week. by the time you get to Monday's like off, like you cooked, you can't play anymore. Tuesday you're still pretty tired. Wednesday you start coming back around, and you've got to like start thinking about like organizing your week and getting your affairs in order and stuff. And then Thursday you're gigging again. And so it's like this. That's kind of generally been the cycle. So I think a lot of people, there's always kind of, I guess, this choice that creatives make. You see them, like a lot of musicians that want to make it in music, they won't do the kind of gigs that I'm doing, which is like playing pubs and clubs and all these kind of different gigs. And they'll usually have like a, you know, like a day job in a cafe or something, and they might do an occasional gig every couple of months that's just an original showcase. And then they'll save their energy to be able to put it into their music and record and stuff like that. I understand it. I get that. But there's a part in me that's like, I don't want to do anything else. And even though it's sacrificial in some ways towards my art in terms of producing, it's also so beneficial for me as a performer and as an artist, because I'm constantly working on my act, you know? And like, even when I'm not having a good time at work at a gig, I'm still getting better, you know? And so that's the kind of comfort. And so when you said earlier that there's heaps of people that admire you and stuff like that means a lot, and it's nice to hear that. And I remember when you came up to me at the Northern and you said that, and it meant a lot to me, because it is true. I don't hear that a lot, right? I don't.
And it wasn't a compliment.
Yeah.
I was not complimenting, because I'm not good at complimenting. And as I say, as it is. Yeah.
But I think it's like, it's a funny existence when like your whole kind of work and job is like playing with time and space and vibrations in the air and working with that. And if you don't have a good show, or like people aren't listening, or all these sorts of things, because when you're a working musician, you've got to deal with the fact that people aren't there to see you. So that's why, again, I bring up the kind of example of like other singer-songwriters that they don't like doing the pub gigs because they feel like it's not giving them enough of what they need as an artist. But I kind of see it as a challenge to rise above the fact that people aren't there to see you, and it's kind of like you've got to put your ego aside and you've got to be able to then cater to the room and see what it needs. And then, you know, you look for those couple of people that are kind of enjoying it, you focus on them, and then they're like the kind of little pillars of vibe bringers in the room. And then as you light them up, then they light up other people. And then if you've done a good job, you can then light up the whole room, and then you've won the room, you know? And that to me is such a beautiful thing, to like overcome the odds that are stacked against you, which is often quite a lot when you're working in a bar, because you're, like I said, people aren't there to see you.
Yes.
They're getting drunk. They're getting fucked up. They're usually there to try and sleep with someone or something. Like it's like there's all sorts of ulterior motives, you know? So you've got to work against all of that to then create a good time and create a good show, as opposed to people coming to see you and then they're respectful and they want to listen to you. So there's that level of like respect for you then to go there. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, because of that, you can then, your artistry can suffer if you get in your head or you let it affect you. So it's like, and that's usually what happens to a lot of people. So they'll find that they're performing their artistry and they're going somewhere, and then the room isn't responding or it's not paying attention to them. And then it'll hurt, and it hurts your self-worth, and it hurts your feelings, it hurts your ego, you know?
It's true.
Your thoughts about yourself. And that can be damaging as an artist. But it's about like kind of picking yourself back up and constantly putting yourself back together. And that's kind of been my process over the years, because I've been performing for a long time now.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many shows I've done. You know, like if you think about it, it's like, it's at least in venues, it's been probably about 12 years now that I've been playing professionally in venues, and if on an average, let's say 3 to 5 shows a week. So you do the math there, right?
Yeah,
a lot of shows.
A lot.
And before that was busking around the world.
Wow.
And that's another thing, you know, like, but like that's because that's where I kind of started, was like understanding how to kind of, yeah, like put on a show and perform. And if you didn't do a good job, you didn't get paid. You know, the busking's so honest.
Yeah.
Because busking's like, okay, like if you're not making money, then you're not doing it well. And it's hard to do.
I think you make a point. Busking is as honest as the musical notes itself.
Yeah.
If it's wrong, you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Totally.
This was the thing that when you say when you go to the pubs, you know,
Yeah.
these places, and people are not there to see you. I think it's very true, because you know when I first saw you, I was outside and we were just walking, and I saw you from the window, and then we stood by and listened to you from outside. And the security guy closed the windows because it was time to close it. Like, oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
you can't hear.
Yeah,
And come on, we want to hear. He's so good. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And like, you can go in if you want to. So we went in.
Yeah.
Me and a few friends. And I said, oh, and I remember saying to my French friend, and he said, oh, Francesca, you like him? I said, oh, I'm already in love with his voice. and I said, I'm already in love with his voice. You're not going anywhere listening to him. So,
Yeah.
and you were singing, what was the song? Oh, it's one of the Beatles songs.
Okay, Don't Let Me Down, maybe?
Yeah, don't let it. Yeah, that was, and we were singing along to, because you were so good. You were so good, and I think it was, you were coming to the end of the show.
Yeah.
And I still have a video of being mesmerized by you, and I had to film. I had to film you, and ever since I see you, I just never skip to watch even just one song, because, you know, like as you say, I'm there. I'm not there planning to see you, but when you're there, you manage to always like keep people. I stay and I listen, because you're doing a great job.
Thank you. And that's part of the artistry, and that's part of like being a performer and trying to make that work as a professional musician. And that's the joy of it, you know, when you can have these kind of reactions from people and you can see that you've impacted someone in some way. I mean, that's kind of all like I'm really trying to do. Like, it's like, as a musician, I feel like the whole reason why I started playing music, first of all, was for myself, to be honest. It was survival. It was like when I was like 15, 16, quite, you know, emotional and troubled. And, you know, around that age, you're very confused.
Hormonal, teenager.
Lots of stuff coming up. And so you're just like, you know. Like,
no one wants to understand teenager boys.
Yeah. And it's just hard. You got all these feelings, you got all these stuff. You don't know how to deal with them. And so when I started playing music, it gave me an avenue and a way that I could process my emotions and deal with stuff that was coming up for me. So it was kind of survival in that way.
It's a great positive thing to pick on music.
Yeah. And then since how it started, because it started off as that, like, I need to do this and to survive and live and feel good. It then progressed into more of like now I would say it's more of a spiritual thing. It's quite sacrificial and selfless now, which is funny because a lot of people would think that it's not all. A lot of people are quick to assume that I have a massive ego, or all these you get all these kind of like projections and things thrown onto you.
That's assumption.
But this happens as a performer, and it's part of it.
Right.
It's like this, you're out there, you're doing your thing, and if you're doing it well, because you've worked at it and you've done all this stuff and you do it a lot, you get people's insecurities and all this stuff projected onto you and thrown at you and all these kind of things.
There's also, like, honestly, I have to say that there is, to an extent, there's jealousy. When you can't advance to someone's, when you see someone's advance, right? We also kind of recognize that not everyone is happy to see someone's advance.
Of course.
And then when you are not happy seeing people advance, you're gonna be eaten by jealousy, and that's a really terrible thing to put yourself through, because you could just be friends and say, look, I want to come to as
lift
good as you
up.
are.
Yeah, lift each other up.
Yeah, this is what I really like when I meet the artist friends, whatever art they practice. And we know we're here to just support each other.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just a really good positive thing. Then you know, kind of, there's like this friendship for life.
Yeah.
What more can you get?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a real shame when people want to pull each other down. And, you know, you've probably obviously heard of the age-old thing about the tall poppy syndrome thing in Australia. And it is very prevalent here. It's like, I don't know if it's because we're descendants of convicts or something, and there's like some weird like psychological, like, you know, don't stick out, the guards will get you, you know, like, or something. I don't know. But it's like there's this pull someone down who's doing well, put them down and like give them shit.
Yeah.
Until they make it
so great,
and then they're like amazing,
and
then they'll go, oh yeah, we're friends, remember me? Like, you know. And so it's usually like a lot of like Australian artists usually have to go overseas, make it overseas, and then when they make it overseas they come back and everyone's like, oh yeah, we always supported you, and it's like, did you? I don't think you did. But on the flip side, I think it really kind of creates quite tough, hearty artists. Like Australian artists are pretty like thick-skinned.
Thick-skinned, yeah.
And some artists from other countries, like I've heard them speak about Australia and be like, they don't like coming to Australia sometimes just because of the audiences and stuff. And it's like, it is hard. It's like you're met a lot of the time with this apathy and like it's just, it can be a difficult place, but then it's so beautiful, you know.
Yes,
and it's so easy.
Yeah,
and it's safe.
But you're very lucky that you put yourself you create a sanctuary for yourself. Like the situation you create for yourself is always with the balance. You know, you're not there to project your ego, and you're not there to get drunk, to abuse yourself with whatever is out there thrown at you, because it's so easy to being in the public and somebody gives you a cigarette or something else to have fun, and then you carry on from there and lose yourself, and you focus. And I think the hard work focusing on music is what I see anyway. When I witness through you being on the stage, it's the quality from your self-discipline as an artist, and I think that's why the enjoyment for me as your audience is seeing you after getting off stage. You know how you mentioned earlier, you pick one or two people that comes in and are listening to you and pay attention, and they kind of lift up the vibe, and then you connect with that. So there's like this creating this connection, and then the whole room changes. And what I noticed the first time I spoke with you was after you finished the show, you came and greet and have a chat, and you were not like going to the bar and like, can I get drunk or something like this. And for me, I don't drink, it's a safe environment. When everyone else is drink and you came out of a stage, can we have a little conversation? And it's just safe. I'm a girl, and in the nighttime, and you know, you're a man, and you're just off the stage, and so you when you present yourself in a certain way where it's safe for someone to converse with, it adds even more like positive, like some sort of level of connection and trust already to say, oh, okay, this is how he is. So then it's more likely I will go and listen to you when I see you. So just from there, then I keep seeing you performing it.
There's so many variables. There's so many things.
Yeah.
There's so many different types of people. There's so many different things. And so that's all part of it. It's like you have to be open to listening to what's going on at all times, but still strong enough not to get swayed and pushed around by all the different energies and stuff, and to remain in your power,
your core.
Right? So it's like this balance of listening and seeing what's going on, but kind of being an observer to it, like, you know, spirituality, not getting taken over by like the emotions and becoming a kid, you know, and lashing out. And all. It's like you're observing, you're seeing what's going on, and you're not allowing it to like necessarily affect you or sway you from your power and what you're trying to do. But you listen to it and you work with it. So it's like you see certain things going on, you acknowledge certain people, you ignore others. You know, there's so much going on, and it's like it's such a wild, funny job to have, you know. And I think if you know, I think I am fortunate to have that kind of to have that job, you know, because it's like a lot of people they kind of work in their life and they're kind of just like waiting for the job to be over. But I'm always kind of thinking like, I love what I do,
yes,
and then I'm trying to think, how can I do what I do better? And so there is always this reflection. You're faced with yourself all the time. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
And do you find yourself that every time you finish maybe working on a song and... No.
As soon as I'm done, I'm kind of done for you know, if you play for 3 hours, energetically, you're done. You're like, okay, I'm good for like a little bit. It's it's rare that sometimes you might want to play a little bit more, but for the most part, I would say probably like 90% of the time, you're pretty tired.
Yeah.
You know, you've like done like a big workout and you're like, okay, that's good. I don't need to do any more.
Who was the first person that you performed with when you got to Byron?
The first person I performed with, not sure. Just let me think back to it. I feel like I was doing a lot of solo shows when I first got to Byron. And then there was, you know, obviously lockdown and there was all stuff going on. And then, like I said earlier, became part of this band with these other musicians that were all songwriters and stuff. So I guess they were the first people that I was like performing with in Byron as a collaborative thing with other musicians.
Yeah. Where did you guys meet when you did that?
So
did you have a venue?
Yeah, so I met like so you know like Jay Squidge, you know, Jeremy. He goes by a lot of names: Jeremy Storm, Jay Squidge. Him with Bonnie, you know, the dog. Like, so I met him like on the street busking, and then I jammed with him, and we started becoming pretty good friends. And then we were walking up to the beach, and then we saw Danny singing. We're like, who's that? And it was like, it's a new guy in town. And then we started talking to him, and then we caught up with him for a jam. And then we're like, we should all make a band together. And then just more and more people kind of joined in, you know? And the rest is history. It just kind of became this collaborative thing of people jamming and hanging out. And it was like, we should make this a thing. And then we did, you know? And certain people left and came and went. And we kind of stayed together for about 2.5 years.
Wow,
And
that's
then,
long enough.
Yeah, long enough. And then when that broke up, then I just focused on myself again. I was still doing my own gigs when the band was together. But when that broke it up, I started just focusing on my own stuff again. And then I started collaborating more and doing more like band shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And so lately it's been really beautiful to like play with such amazing, talented musicians. Like I play regularly with Terapi, who's like one of Australia's top drummers, I would say.
Okay.
He plays in the Whitlams, and he played for Rodriguez, and he's played for all sorts of countless amazing artists.
Wow.
And so to play with someone of that level that's like that switched in and tuned in is an absolute pleasure. And I also play with Lucius, who's also another amazing drummer. He plays in the band Cog. They're like this quite famous alternative rock band. And he's so solid, you know, and they both bring their own thing to the table, you know. They both got their own kind of style and their own thing that I really enjoy.
Wow.
And yeah, to play with people of that caliber is just, it's inspiring, and it kind of pushes me as an artist. And then I play a lot with Rai, who you know, and like Rai's a good friend of mine and an amazing musician.
Yeah.
And sometimes he was playing drums for me as well, but I've often lately gotten him on bass and
guitar, singing.
and singing backup vocals and stuff with me, because he's amazing at doing harmonies and just like, and he does his own band as well called the Flukes Ascendington, which is amazing. And then various other people come in and out, you know, and just, it's kind of just like, I'm pretty relaxed with it. I'm like, I'll like usually just say to someone, like usually sometimes even just the day before, hey, you want to do this gig, you know? And they're like I can do that gig. And it's like, okay, cool, lock it in, let's go. No rehearsal, just like
so
boom,
cool.
You know, it's just like, let's go. Just listen, pay attention, have fun. Let's see where this goes.
I think you all listen to each other really well. If you didn't rehearse and you just on the spot like that, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it always sounded good. Yeah.
Thank you. It kind of forces you to listen, because if you don't have a rehearsal, you're like, okay, shit. You get to know the songs after a while, but sometimes I'll bring out a new song and they'll be like, and they've got to listen, you know, they pay attention. And then there's a real joy in that too for me as an artist, because there'll be things that happen that surprise me.
Yeah.
And so like, and then you can go into like, again, kind of spirituality and like non-attachment, because sometimes people, they want to have rehearsal because they want to know that something's going to go a certain way and it's going to go a certain thing and it's going to be all perfect and it's going to be all right. But you can't, things don't work like that in life, as we know, right? And so sometimes when I pull out a new song, I don't know what's going to happen with what they're going to do. And I can either choose to fight it, you know, and then be like, and get angry about it or whatever, or I can choose to listen to what they're doing, and then I've got to modify the way that I'm playing so that it fits. And then
so
like,
cool.
and then it's like, okay, and then after that experience, sometimes someone might record it or something might happen, and you listen back and you're like, actually, that's really cool, you know, and it's like something that you didn't think about necessarily.
Yeah.
And that's the collaboration of working with other artists that are bringing their own interpretation.
Yes.
And that's so important, to allow other artists to express themselves.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If you want to get the best out of people and like,
Yeah.
and have them be able to have fun and express themselves. Because even though like, I'm like the band leader and doing the thing, I also very much like to allow people to express themselves,
Right, yeah.
and do their thing.
Oh, it's just
Because it's beautiful to see.
It's a pivotal thing to do, because that's how most of the time band members fight with each other.
Yeah.
Because one wants this way, they feel like their artistic expression is being suppressed by listening to just the one man dictating.
Exactly. And like, so usually that can be rectified by getting paid, or paying people. So it depends on in that circumstance.
You give them the music seats and they just do through it.
Yeah,
and
yeah. There's kind of like, if you want to be the type of musician that, because there is a place for that, because if you have a strong vision, and you're like, the way you want the song to go, and it's like, and you're recording it, say, and so then in that capacity, it's completely justified, but you should be, paying the musicians and they should be getting something out of it, right? So if they haven't come up with the parts and you're literally like, it goes like this and all this stuff and you want them to do certain things, that at that point, you should be paying them, right? And then they get paid and then they're getting respected for their art, like their, and then there's no animosity. But the problem happens when, and usually it's with younger musicians, because they'll start a band and they'll like be all like the dream of making it and all this kind of stuff, and they got all this stuff, and so they're invested energetically.
Yes.
And then these kind of arguments that you mentioned will happen, where someone will be like, it goes like this, and then they'll have all sorts of things. And because there's no money involved, and the reason why they signed up was because they were able to express themselves artistically and they had a voice. And so you can get this kind of real battle play going on,
Yeah.
So I think if you're doing a collaboration artistic thing where there's no money involved and you're working together, then you should always be open to listening to other people's ideas and working together.
Yeah.
And then you can end up with things like the Beatles and stuff like that, right? It's like beautiful collaboration projects like that, where everybody's doing their thing. And of course they did have troubles, but for the most part, they were listening to each other and it was a collaboration.
Yeah.
And if you want to be the kind of person where you have a very strong vision, then it's more like you get in session musicians. You get in really good players that get the job done, and you pay them.
That's right.
And then that's kind of more that avenue. And it takes wisdom and getting older as a musician to understand that distinction. That's the cause of a lot of arguments, because it's like people don't feel like they're respected if they're putting in all this time and all this thing, and then when it comes down to it, then they have to not even have their voice heard and do things a set, and then it's like, well, that's not what I signed up for, and then they don't know how to explain or talk about it, and it becomes a whole thing that blows up.
Well, that's another thing, the communication skill.
Yeah.
And almost like between a relationship of two people who are, let's say, in a romantic relationship, quite often things goes unspoken and expected to be understood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of the time, right? A lot of the time.
Yeah,
So,
not quite often, but yeah.
It's crazy how wrong you can be.
Yes.
You can just be thinking all these things that this person, like they understand
but it's
what
not
you mean.
communicated. I mean, like you trust telepathy too much.
Yeah, you're like, it goes without saying. They know what I mean. But yeah, I mean,
it's because I think it's the Australian mentality. Is like, if you're talking about Australia, it's always this like, oh, you'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. But no, we won't. And I mean, I guess and getting older teaches you that you like nothing, because you understand how wrong you can be. Obviously, like being in relationships and being in love and all these kind of things, and then. Yeah, like kind of thinking that someone was on the same page, or like that this was and then working out after an argument that like how wrong it was, and you're like, oh my, and then your whole world falls apart, because you're like, if I was so wrong about something where I thought it was so, like what am I doing? Like, where am I? What's going on? And so. Yeah, it's a lot. A
relationship with our musicians is very much the same, like what you mentioned. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why so many songs are written about love.
Oh yeah,
right.
For sure.
It's a very there's no understanding love. It's an intoxicating feeling that just. Yeah, it can just completely take over everything, and then be a whirlwind, and then make you forget about reason and logic. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the one emotion that it's, but like in a way as well. I guess depending on and on the if you're talking about romantic love, yes,
Yeah.
it just rules over everything.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a different depth of love, where it's the one more maybe platonic, where it's like the mantelpiece cast upon the wall, you know. So
Takes work.
yeah,
Takes showing up.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Devotion and not only just showing up for the sake of showing up, but also with empathy,
Yeah.
being a compassionate other person, and it's it's easily said.
Yeah. Well, it is. Yeah.
The homework is another thing.
Totally. Totally. And how do you know when it's if we're talking something that is a romantic, but still having that level of like having that respect and working on it and not giving up so easily and being like yeah, we want to make this work, and
Yeah.
there's that extra depth of love there, which I feel like is something that's missing a lot in today's day and age, because we are everything's so quick and now, and it's instant gratification. So that level of respect and like artistry just isn't really there as much anymore, which is a shame that people, but at the same token, it's like, how do you know as well? Like, and I guess this is why there's so many songs written about it. How do you know when you're supposed to do the work or when it's ran its course, And so that's the whole thing. And I guess it's like, well, okay, well, if you truly, really, really do love them, then you put in the work as much as you can. But if it gets to the point where it's like, okay, you've put in all this work and and it's just not working after just like you're trying everything, you're doing, and it's just still not working, then
you're banging your head against the wall.
You've got to listen to that, and you're going to be okay. Well, you can still love somebody, and then let them go, and they did, and you can still be thinking about them and wish them well, and and maybe some other point in your life you come back together, you come back, and maybe that's, you weren't, you had to go off or something. Yeah. But I think it's a real shame where you can love someone so much and then you were trying to make it work, and then you realize it's not working, and sometimes it blows up in a catastrophe of fire and emotions. And I find it such a shame that when both parties can't recognize that, okay, it's not working, and yes, we said a lot of hurtful stuff and whatever, but I still love you in some capacity. And not to have that love turn into hate, which so often happens.
Often happens, but maybe because I think, maybe because, there's always a blame game.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
One person feel manipulated.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot easier to point at someone and say, it's you, and I feel like you did this to me and all this, and rather than look at yourself and go, I was not my best self. I could have done better. I did, to take accountability for yourself. That's a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people can do that.
It's true.
And it's a shame, because when you see somebody that's hurting and you still love them, and then they're hating you, and then you're seeing that the way that they're thinking of you, and obviously it hurts, because it's like, but you see that where it's coming from, that it's this pain within them of their shit, that they're not dealing with. And I feel like the closest thing to probably kind of relate to, which I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that that's probably what it feels like when a kid is going off as like a teenager and pushing you away and being like, like that leaving the nest kind of thing. It's like they were so close, and then and then they have to become their own thing, and then they like kind of push you away. And like,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
it's
I
so
remember.
hard to deal with, but you also know that it's like they're going through their journey,
Yeah,
and they've got to do it. You know.
yeah. I remember being a teenager, and I mean, I'm not sure what it's like in Australia, but I grew up in a different culture, and being a teenager before my parents, I was fortunately, very allowed to explore life away from them. So that's just culturally different for me, and so thank you so much. That gave me a lot of freedom to be able to feel like without guilt, without bearing guilt or thinking that I'm rebellious. And my parents didn't make me feel like it, but also because we are culturally raised differently. There's certain traditions that you kind of don't struggle to. You don't even grow up thinking you got to rebel against somebody or against something. So because it's not in a root of the tradition to think like that, so then you pretty much not necessarily normal. You just grow up differently to modern way of life, and so I remember being the only time that I felt like I was a rebellious teenager was just not listening to my mom's advice. Not that I don't want to, but it just whatever my mom was saying. I was teenager. Like it's like you put a bucket somewhere there with the mouth of like a bottle, maybe a big bottle, but the mouth is small, and you're trying to throw balls from a steps or something from a hill, and it's at the bottom the balls, and it's only you'd be really lucky if one little ball go inside the bottle. And so no matter what the advice she gave, it just wasn't getting into me. My teenager period is not able to absorb anything, and it took a long time, to really recognize that, oh God, the hormonal shift is different now. And that's what
It's natural though, isn't it? I think like that's part of like
relationship is similar
relationships.
to
It's like you've got to in that capacity, you've got to kind of try and become your own person. So there's this pushing away and rebelling against your parents.
I think we tie each other when we're in a relationship because there's a lot of expectation and conditioning.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I was thinking very recently, I talked to one of the podcast friends who came here, and I was thinking maybe we are not by nature meant to be conditioned so much, because like let's say marriage, right? It came later with all the regulations, and they issue a certificate to say you're married, you belong to, and they bring the Bible and the religious stuff to say you're now united, you only belong to each other, blah blah blah. But maybe by nature, really, like if we remove all this conditioning, this regulation, this law, this morality, maybe we could see things differently, where we become more acceptance of each other, and to say, okay, we are not by nature made to sort of have to like tie each other up and put so much condition on each other and expect this, expect that, and then we start fighting. And maybe we need to like be, I don't know, be mentor, guided by life in different ways to the current way that we see ourselves being so conditioned in a relationship that cause so much pain. Because every single time someone breaks up, we are left with so much hollowness. It's just and pain. And I wonder why should the relationship shouldn't have to be like this. And then of course, and the best thing for me, the experience is like, the best thing is to stay silent. There's nothing to say anymore. Like if you can't get along, walk away and stay silent. Because what can you explain? To fight, to argue?
Well, it's a shame though that it has to be like that. And I guess that's kind of the point that I started with, that you can be so close to someone and that you feel like you can't talk to them and you have to be silent from now on, because you know that it's only going to ruffle feathers and make things like trigger and bring up stuff and all these kind of things, you know, not necessarily that you're just trying to get something from them, but should just try and be friends and acknowledge what was and move on in life.
Yeah, because once you were connected with each other.
Yeah, you're like best friends, you know? And I mean, we certainly are in the right place for alternative relationships around the Northern Fifth. So I was, if you're talking about, you know, you're saying traditional relationships, marriage, which comes from, you know, kind of religion and all these kind of things. And is that the way we're supposed to be as humans? I don't know. None of us really know. But like, I would say, generally speaking, as a man, I think that it's we have impulses and stuff that make it hard for us to be in a relationship. I think that kind of chills out as you get older, you know. But certainly when I was a lot younger, it was sometimes the animal male brain of like wanting to, you know, so you're with someone, you love them, but there would always be this level of like someone else would catch your eye in a way, you know.
Yeah, but
you'd appreciate their beauty, but of course there would be some kind of impure thoughts. And I think it's kind of natural, right?
But it's even for girls. Even for girls,
right?
I think that what happened is they projected that it's only happened with males.
Yeah.
I think it happens with both gender, but because it's been put into our head that's only men who do this, because the woman's, you know, traditionally, what, you know, in modern societies, the man goes to work, the woman's raising the kids.
Yeah.
So then it's projected, the men's out there doing all that, and the woman do nothing, don't do this because he's at home raising kids. So then you have this picture that, men tend to do this, but I think it's like women have natural attractions as well.
Of course. If you think about, okay, if we talk about like, if we're thinking about it purely from like a breeding standpoint, right?
Oh, yes.
So like, look at it like, okay, so if you think about, if you imagine that it's another animal in the animal kingdom, and if we think about what it is to have children or to breed, you know, and have, you know, as an animal, the kind of goal is to kind of like, have your DNA and stuff live on in other things, right?
Yeah.
And so from a biological standpoint, it makes sense for a man to then, once he's had kids, to then move on at a certain point and do the same thing again, you know, in terms of like getting his DNA and his thing out there,
like the trees,
as an alpha male or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in animal nature, that's what would go on, right?
Yes.
With like a lot of animals. And then certain animals we look up to, the ones that's paired for life, you know, those animals like, oh, it's so cute, that's love, you know, they pair for life. And there's varying different animals that do different things. And where are we? We don't know, you know, are we supposed to do one? Are we supposed to do the other? But certainly when a woman has a child, there, you know, there's like cells of the child in them and vice versa. And there's this connection that's like crazy for life. And so like, the man is tied in as well, of course, but like it's nowhere near as tied in, right, as what the woman is. And so that's an interesting thing to kind of think about and talk about, because it's like, well, what is it supposed to be? We don't know, you know. Religion says it's supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
Other people say it's supposed to be like this and whatever. And I don't know. It's I think with age and wisdom also comes this like a certain level of respect for sometimes what religion is saying.
Yes.
Because it's like,
sure,
when you do all the alternative stuff and you experiment and you do all this stuff, inevitably you kind of fuck yourself up and fuck other people up. Like that's the reality of it, you know. You end up traumatizing yourself and traumatizing other people. But, you know, you kind of have to learn that for yourself, and then you come out the other side of it and you're like, well, fuck, maybe religion and all that stuff was right with like that, you know, you should do things a certain way and keep things sacred and all this, and then have that respect, you know, because as well and true as it is to be like free love, openness, all this stuff, a lot of the time it's disrespectful, you know, and like that's something that I've kind of like learned because I've done open relationships. I've done all sorts of things. We won't go into there, but let's just say I've done a lot, you know, and like
There's no wrong or right.
Yeah, and now at this point, it's like I really do just respect being with someone monogamously, you know, having respect for them and what that relationship is. And then also understanding though, like when it has run its course and when it's not working. And I don't want to put in too much energy and too much sacrifice when I know that it's not working.
Yeah, because in the end you waste your life.
Yeah.
You also hold them up. And like when you hold somebody's up and if they stay because it's out of pity or whatever, just to please you, they're voluntarily wasting their life. And then in 5 years down the track, you're both gonna really not like each other. Or maybe even five weeks. 5 hours.
And then there'd be resentment and all sorts of things. And so I mean, it's a huge subject, as we know. You know? So it's like, and it's so nuanced and stuff. But I think personally, I feel like exploration and open relationships and all this stuff can have a place, but it's very hard to navigate, and communication at the highest level is needed. And as we just said before, a lot is misunderstood and a lot is assumed, and that creates complications and makes things really hard.
Yes.
And I often found that in these open relationships that I was in, that the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. It was like, you know, there was a lot of stuff that would then come up that you'd have to deal with that was not worth that little fun little fling to explore something and be like, there's an attraction there and kind of go there, but then have to deal with all the things that came up. It's just like, it's so
tiring.
So complicated. And yeah, it's just like, I get really tired of drama and stuff. And it's just, I don't really have much time for it. So that's why for me, I'm like done with all that shit. It's like, I just want someone who I'm like, I'm with them, that's it. And I'm with them and I'm giving it my best shot. We're trying to do this thing. And I think if you're lucky enough to find someone that you can grow through life with and walk with and get to know more and more and still love and be inspired and laugh and dance and fuck and make love and explore and learn each other, and you can have that for a very long time, then you're lucky.
Yeah,
you know,
you're lucky,
and that's a beautiful thing.
But I think that the two sides of this couple need to really they would have to have a really good, honest communication, because you know, without authentic self, you'd still be like tiptoeing on pretentiousness, and so that comes with a lot of critics, you know, for each other in a relationship. You're constantly criticizing each other, not to put each other down, but like, how do we evolve from this monotonous, whatever, boring habit, something that needs to evolve, need to grow. And quite often, if you are not with the good intention on listening, and you take it as a defensive thing, you're going to be offended all the time. And then you're going to want to defend yourself rather than actually like, okay, I'm just here to listen. And maybe he comes or she comes from a good point for the two of us to progress. And that's really difficult.
I think being able to listen is a very important skill as a man to have with women, especially because...
because women, you know us.
I mean, if you're growing together, that's one thing. But sometimes I feel like a woman doesn't want solutions and doesn't want you to come with answers. She just wants you to listen to what she's saying and to hear how she feels. That's something that I learned
and, you know,
the hard way.
And another thing is like, don't try to portray to us how good you are. We live with you. We know how good you are. We see you. Even if we don't live with you, we see you, because you know, we've got brothers, we've got friends, male friends, we've got fathers, we've got uncles. We've seen it. We learn really quickly.
Yeah.
We don't need to have so many boyfriends to learn. We don't need to have been married so many times. So when a man tried to come with the ego and it's like, yeah, because well, no, don't try. Unless, she's high on something, she probably buy into that. But someone who's sober and, like with good sense of self, won't easily be, buying that kind of easy marketing. But, it's just the way we also learn to be with each other, I guess, being women and men. But it's a beautiful thing, though.
But we are different, right? And I think that's important to recognize.
Yes.
More and more in this day and age, it's like equality and all this stuff. And why I feel like it's very important to have, like, obviously equality in terms of voting, women getting paid the same for doing the same, all these kind of things, right? All that stuff, good.
Yeah, I resonate with what you say.
But we are different.
We have
our strengths. We have our weaknesses on both sides.
You know what?
Acknowledge them.
I still would not. I would still prefer if I don't change the tire of a car.
Yeah, right.
I still prefer to have the man change it for me. And because you know what? It's like, honestly, it's not that you can't learn to do it. Not that you can't. You can do it, right?
Yeah.
But it's also nice to see how the man feels like. I don't know, like I feel
empowered.
Like my male friends feel like they have a purpose. And it's nice to give them that. Like my brothers won't let me do things that is too rough. And I like it. And so was my dad. And I really like it because I feel like that privilege they give me to make me feel like I'm this precious, whether it's a princess or precious, someone that is on the opposite, being an opposite gender to them. And I feel really treasured by this kind of special treatment. So, I go around still like that.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that we should not forget that, because I feel like there can be I feel like we live in such an interesting age, like sociologically, with the way that everybody's thinking about things, and people I feel like we're like, when you have people fighting for things that they like, and when they're confused themselves, so like there's like, this is a huge subject. So it's like, I feel like, if you think back to like, let's say, go back to the 50s, very conservative. It's like American dream. The wife is at home, cooking, or this, the man's out in his suit with his hat on. It was very like American dream style like thing. Yeah. And then the 60s and 70s came along, the 60s, like free love, expression, like this radical revolution kind of happened, sociologically in culture. That created this empowerment, and then feminism started and all this kind of stuff. And these are all really good things, I think, in terms of expression, and like not necessarily just being like everybody has to look like this and everybody has to do so, because that's dangerous, because it's like not everybody wants to fit within that thing. So this was a very positive thing, and there was lots of expression, lots of stuff going on. Now there's been so much that's been done. Now we're at this like level where it's like people are like so like, you can express yourself, you can do what you want, you can do. But then there's like this level of like, oh well, so I feel like this, or I'm this, or I'm that, and then other people might be like, oh well, I don't think, or I don't agree with that, and then they're like, well, I'm offended, and then it's like, and then they're fighting for the fact that they should be able to be like that and not have someone put them down, right? But the reality of life is that like, people are going to disagree with people all the time, and we need to acknowledge, we need to be able to have healthy discourse, and we need to be able to have freedom of speech and all this stuff, and everyone is different, and everyone is all this and everyone is all that, like, and I believe personally that anyone can be what they want and anyone can do what they want, right? I think like do what you want. Like, I don't really care, you know. But I think certain people that are confused and all this kind of stuff that are trying to like tell people the way that they should think and tell that they're kind of being the very thing that they hate, because they're controlling and they're trying to like make people that disagree with them agree with them. And we have this enabling culture go on tonight with this woke culture that's happening, where it's, ironically, it's stifling freedom of speech, because now you have people that are afraid to say certain things because they'll get cancelled.
No,
and so it's like
they're just being tiptoeing for the fact that you're going to be offended.
Exactly, but people get offended. People, so what? You get
like
offended.
Like what Ricky Gervais said, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Exactly, right? And so culturally, we're in this really weird time where like people are afraid to say things because they don't want to offend people and they don't want to be cancelled, and there's all this stuff, and it's so loaded, and there's so much going on with that. And you think about all these people that are all confused and all this stuff that's going on, that are like fighting for this stuff. It's like, are they happy? You know, are they like, is it really the answer? You know, like, is it like, it seems like people have lost their way a little bit, you know, and then sometimes that's where I go, oh, well, maybe like some of that traditional conservative stuff that religion was talking about has some merit, you know, like where it's like, okay, or spirituality, the way that we should live our life, or the way we should, maybe it has some merit, you know what I mean? Because, so it's like maybe we've gone too far the other way, the pendulum swings.
Yeah, because, you know, anything in nature, when you lose balance, the point of balance, it becomes distorted, right?
Exactly.
And then when it's, of course, distortion, meaning you no longer harmonize. Something come off harmony, and you can't expect, because everything seems to run in harmony through nature, through whatever superficial life that we build. We still try to sort of make it harmonize, but then when it's only carried on to feed the need of certain group of people, then the rest, of course, gonna feel like, hey,
exactly,
don't shut me off.
Yeah. And obviously in the past there was so much, you know, if we're talking like persecution about like people that are gay or racism with different races and all this, and obviously things were really bad, you know, like, and there's been many years where it's been really bad. So it's like we're in this like level now where it's like compensating for that, you know, and I think it's natural. And hopefully we can all come together, and then we'll think the pendulum comes back to balance, and we can be like, okay, cool, like, yeah, you do, I do me, we do, so what, like, cool, you know, and we can all live in harmony. But we're in an interesting, tense time at the moment.
It's true. But you know, the thing is, this doesn't happen just in a modern culture. It actually goes to even the most isolated place, because the internet reaches people with all sorts of thoughts, all sorts of exposure. Even on most remote hamlets, you can access internet with your mobile phone, and you know, any generation's exposed to anything. And so in a way, one way or another, it alters or influences the way people perceive things.
We could go down a rabbit hole with this, you know,
absolutely.
Because you could just be like, I mean, all right, well, if there's the power of that to manipulate and alter people culturally and stuff, then it makes you think whether or not there's powers that are beyond our comprehension that are doing the altering for their own personal gains and their own personal needs. And you're like, well, I mean, it's not that far-fetched, you know what I mean? It's like kind of, it's quite a, I mean, I could go down the rabbit hole here, you know, but like, it's like, I think that it's, we're in an interesting time, and I hope that we come out the other side for the better. I had hopes during COVID time that there would be some sort of a spiritual awakening. It certainly seemed so for like a few weeks there.
That sort of
it was like, do you remember when, because no one was working and the whole world stopped. There was this little breath where suddenly it felt like everyone was like, what have we been doing? you know?
Exactly.
And then like dolphins were swimming in the canals in Venice and or nature was coming back and everyone was like, maybe we don't need to keep going the way we've been going. Like this whole like progression, work hard, capitalism, move forward, create, keep going, grind, make money. Maybe it's not maybe that's not the answer. And then people just forgot. You know, oh, you're gonna get back to work, and then it was just that was it.
Yeah, I think people forgot because you know what? Also, we're so embedded in this very systematic lifestyle where everyone went to school, everyone was separated through the day, and then now they've got to deal with each other at home, working from home. And all the different personalities want this different thing all at once.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of compromises to be done, right? To be projected. And the thing is, during that time, I think people there were a lot of people separated too because they kind of like didn't know how to deal with each other. And so then they kind of, because it was pretty much completely stopped during lockdown. And so once, you shut the door, lock everybody in, you open the door, give them the freedom again. I mean, you couldn't even go for the beach walks and then play volleyball at the beach, which is the normal things. So once you take everything of it out, you open and give an opportunity again, and you went to the absolute extreme.
Yeah.
Like you say, completely forgotten about how much we appreciate that.
Yeah, and then you get distracted by the next new thing. And that's kind of culturally what goes on. Usually what time has told, if we look at a lot of things that happen on Earth, is there's usually some sort of big catastrophe or usually something. But behind that catastrophe is ulterior motives and people benefiting. And it's the age-old thing of never let a good crisis go to waste. And there's usually powers that are beyond our comprehension and people that we don't even know about that are benefiting from things or maybe even orchestrating things in this way. You could go down the rabbit hole, but it's like, I think it's interesting to keep your at the end of it, we don't really know, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
So what we can know and what we can do is know ourselves. And what we can do is we can change the room we're in. And that's what I do as a performer. Bringing it back. So when you're younger, you try to change the world. You try to think that you can change the world. And I now know that that's impossible. I can't change the world.
You change your world.
I change my world. And I change the room that I'm in. I try my best to change the room I'm in. And if I can do that on a night and make people break out of... Because part of the point I was trying to make a while ago, but I think I got distracted, is I started going on about like why I started music and how I it was something that saved me as a teenager and it was an expression. I was then going to go on to this point, which is good because it's like full circle now.
Yeah.
Is kind of the goal for me is if I can break somebody out of their head and take them out of this neurosis of like, their story and their just the shit that's going on for them in their life that makes them not be present. And I can like break them out of that and bring them into presence.
Yes.
Here and now. I've done my job,
Yes.
And then if I can see it kind of happen and then it's like, okay, and then they kind of open up and then it's like this chain reaction. And then when you have the whole room and everybody's present and they're all together, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
Better than any drug. It's
absolutely
amazing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the goal, And I think about like a musician like Stevie Wonder, right? Amazing musician and such a beautiful, beautiful person. You can tell like that's kind of his goal. He wants to wake people up, and he wants to fill them with love and joy, and just like
I mean, even his name is Wonder.
yeah. So it's beautiful, and I saw him live, and he does that.
Wow.
When he I saw him in New Orleans.
Oh.
Outside at this jazz festival, and he came out and he was just so powerful, and he just embodied love, and
Wow.
he had like the whole crowd was just in this like beautiful, open, loving state, and
What an experience.
it was amazing, you know, and just that is the power of music, and that is what makes it such a beautiful thing. That's why I do it, you know. That's the artistry of it. Being a working musician, it can be challenging to do that artistry. You're working against all odds.
Yeah.
And so if you can overcome it, how good is that? That you can like get through all those hurdles. And that's kind of why I do it, you know. The money as well, but like it's like, you know, that's why I do it.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And I think like it's an interesting life. There's a lot to it. You're constantly faced with yourself, and you're constantly pushing against hurdles. And I feel like if you, not to go like I keep mentioning the rabbit hole going down, because you can go into conspiracy theories
okay.
with
You
like
can,
people
you
and
can
stuff.
speak whatever.
But I feel like that's, as a musician, there's this real rebelling against the narrative that, let's say, forces who have ulterior motives that are trying to limit consciousness in society, because they don't benefit from people being present and full of love. They want people fearful. They want people predictable. They want people buying. They want people separated. They want all these things because it's a lot easier to control a population who are fearful, because you know what they're going to do. Whereas people, if they're full of love and they're present, they're going to skip, they're going to dance. You don't know what the fuck they're going to do, right? That's hard to control.
High frequency,
yeah, hard to
vibration.
control. So, well, we need another crisis. We need another quick. They're gaining consciousness. So there's this whole thing as a musician. You're kind of like you're in war against like these other forces that are out there trying to limit, and you're trying to raise that up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the job.
It's a privilege and a job.
It's a
really,
job.
You know? Wow.
Yeah.
How long were you in the US for?
I lived in New York for a year.
Wow.
I was busking in the subways every day
Oh.
for like a year. It's crazy.
Can you share that experience?
I can, but I just need to go to the toilet real quick.
Oh yeah, please go to please do it.
Is it
Fine, that's fine. No, you're allowed to. That's
course.
great, because you know, many of us take break like this anyway.
Yeah, right.
It's almost in every episode. It's fine.
It's all the tea. It's all this blue tea.
Well,
Okay, New York.
New York,
What
yeah.
happened? Okay, so this was like in 2013. I'd been living in Melbourne for about 5 years. Okay, so I'll give you a quick rundown of my life.
Yeah.
Ready? This is the backstory. Let's see if I can do it in like 5 minutes. When I left school in Sydney, I went to lots of different schools, by the way. Troubled youth. I was suspended, expelled from one. Went to like 5 different schools. And I realize now in hindsight, it was just because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions, and I was sensitive, and I was lashing out because I didn't know how to deal with them. And then when I picked up music, it gave me an avenue to help make sense of these emotions and express what I see and what I feel, you know? So then once I knew that I wanted to be a musician, I was then set on that, and then nothing else was an option. My parents, of course, fought against that, and they wanted me to get a secure job, which I can understand. It's coming from love, and they just want the best for me. It's a story that's age old, that's, repeats and repeats again. The musician, you get a job. No, you don't understand.
Even for painters,
yeah,
you're saying.
So, it's we all know this story. And then I felt like I needed to get out of Sydney, and I needed to get somewhere else to be myself. So I moved to Melbourne, and And so I was like 20, and then moved there and pretty much then got on Centrelink, like money from the government to then like.
Well, it was the only option. Probably.
Yeah, it was my only option
to sustain
exactly.
a
But
survival.
the way that I see it, it was like an investment from the government for me to then provide entertainment and be of service to the general public.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, well, while I was getting paid by the government on Centrelink, I was very much working on my craft.
Yeah.
Right.
For a moment, I thought you went to live on the building of Centrelink.
No.
Anyway,
getting paid by Centrelink. I mean, a lot of artists know that story too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in Melbourne, that was a whole saga. 5 years there, beautiful time in my life, early 20s, lots of expression, lots of exploration. Lots of meeting other musicians or being a part of the scene, learning so much. It was a beautiful time in my life that I look back on very fondly. Then I kind of got like a little bit like kind of tired of things in Melbourne, same old scene, different things, all the stuff. And I had to get out of there. And the girlfriend that I was with at that time, she wanted to go to New York to pursue fashion and stuff. And so I was like, oh, it sounds like New York sounds like an amazing place to like sink my teeth into. So I went there. And in the beginning, it was very challenging, like it was a lot, like very hard. Like New York is such a hard place. And to try and find a place to live and find a job and all this kind of stuff and do all that while you're paying a lot of money for Airbnbs or staying in different places. And you're like, you're going to job interviews, you're going to like apartments in different places with trying to find a place to live. We were doing that for like maybe a month and a half, 6 weeks solidly of like every day waking up and going somewhere and doing something and then moving from one Airbnb to the next and just so stressful, hectic, wild time. And I got a job in BB King's Blues Club in Times Square as a door host. Saying to people like live blues music, come on in, and like this and all this kind of stuff. And it was a funny job. And I was making like $12 an hour or something. And people were like, that's really good.
Oh, is it a good money?
Well, they say it's good for people in America because they would like, most people like making like $6-7 an hour. So
no way.
$12 an hour. Like,
I mean, back then minimum wages is like 20 something. Already
here, but not there in America. That's why they have the whole tipping culture, right? That's why they rely on tips because they get paid so little. It's terrible. And so like
capitalism.
It's hectic. And like I started then busking, and I struggled in the beginning. I kind of went over to New York. Like as my kind of style musically was like, I guess more folk, like a folk singer, like acoustic folk. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I was doing when I was in Melbourne. And then so when I started busking, I was doing that and it just really wasn't working. And rather than like giving up and being like, I suck, but I was like, okay, well, what does this environment need? Mm-hmm. And that's an important thing to do as a person and just in life is to like not necessarily let something destroy you but be like, well, what's needed in this moment? And I was like, okay, I put myself in the shoes of people coming home from work, tired, they're in the subway, they're waiting for their train, whatever. I'm like, do they really want to be listening to someone trying to tell them a story, or do they want something that just creates like a beautiful little like atmosphere and like a little world for them to. So I played this instrumental music. So I would like, I found that like if I wasn't trying to like sing and demand their attention for like a, to listen to me, it was more like, come here and join me in this little world if you want, and you can think whatever you want, and you can think about it, and I can take you somewhere and we can go there and it's all good, And so I started creating this kind of like lo-fi instrumental jazz, kind of had like elements of hip hop in there too, because I'd like bang on the guitar, loop it, and then do stuff, and then just kind of solo. And then I started making really good money, and I was like, okay, that's what's needed.
It's working.
That's what the people need, And So then I created this project called Apollo, which is spelled Apohlo. There's some songs on SoundCloud which have got quite a number of listens, and they got received really well, which was really nice. But that's like just instrumental music, and that came out of that time.
Right.
I actually recorded those songs when I was staying on someone's couch, when I was technically homeless, and that's a whole other story. I mean, I could go into depth, but let's just say the whole time that I was in New York, it was wild time. Every day I was going out into the subways to make my money and then paying rent. And then when my relationship broke up with my girlfriend, then I was like staying with people and moving around, and it was just like, it was a funny, on the edge time.
Yeah, it would be difficult.
Very
heartbroken.
Yeah.
No permanent place.
Well, okay, so at that time when heartbroken relationship ended, and then I injured myself. So I completely injured my hand, and I got really bad RSI. I couldn't play. So then the one thing that's keeping me like alive and afloat and like doing what I can do was then gone. And so then I was like this injured bird staying with this woman. Shelby is her name, and I'm very thankful for her. She kind of like took me in when I was like injured and gave me a place to stay, right? And if it wasn't for her, I would have been pretty much like kind of homeless, you know, because I was like just living week by week, you know, making what money I could make to then buy food and buy, you know,
whatever,
stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
So it was like very much day to day, you know. Then I went to like New Orleans to get to some warmer climate and heal myself up, and then found that I could. So this whole period of me being injured probably lasted like a month until I was able to finally start playing very slowly. And I kind of had to teach myself how to play again by listening to my body and being like, to play without tension, because a huge reason why I got injured was I wasn't listening to my body, and I was playing a lot, and it was during winter.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very cold. So like you can imagine, like I'm in the subway, it's underground, so it's warmer than the surface, but you're still breathing out mist. And I would have pocket warmers in my pocket, so those things that you snap to warm up, and I would be looping, and I'd play a loop, and then I put my hands in my pockets to warm them up because you couldn't feel them, and then I'd continue playing.
Oh my God.
And so it was hard, you know, and
it's just
going out there like freezing, and but still needing to make money. And so then I was down in New Orleans. I'm in warmer climate. I'm staying with friends of her, and they put me up, and then I'm like meeting other people. Then I ended up meeting this lovely woman, Cordia, and then lived with her for like a month, and that was a beautiful time. And I started getting back on my feet, and then I started busking in New Orleans. Then I went to San Francisco, then I went to LA, and then I came back home. Then when I came back home, I thought I was going to go back to Melbourne because I was in Sydney because I had no money, so I had to stay with my parents. And then I was like, then I fell in love in Sydney. Then I got a job teaching music in a guitar school. So then I stayed in Sydney for a few years, and then I started playing in venues, and then started like playing professionally, and then doing like, you know, 2-3 shows a week.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm getting bored, and then I went back to America, and then
so you went back?
I went back to America, and I went America, Europe, America.
Right.
And then this time, so the first time I went over there, I like moved there, and I was in New York pretty much for most of the time, and I was like living there, and it was like on a working visa. Then the second time I went over on tourist visas, and this was a wild time because it was like the whole entire time for the whole 9 months, I didn't know where I was going to sleep each night. So it was like I couch surfed. I very rarely had to get a hotel. It was like I'd meet people and just
9 months.
Yes, 9 months. Think about that. Just think
I'd
about
count
that.
it as a year.
It was so crazy. Because so like it was like nine. So I did 3 months in America, 3 months in Europe, 3 months in America again, and the whole time I was busking every day
Wow.
in different parts, meeting different people, ending up on adventures, and a lot happened. Yeah,
It's very enriching life experience too. Huh?
yeah, yeah. And then when I got back to Australia, back to Sydney after that, I was so exhausted. It was an exhaustion beyond,
Burnt out.
yeah, burnt out beyond being any kind of just like tired. It's like complete because you have to be a level of switched on at all times when you're living that lifestyle because nobody wants to host somebody that's a wet wig. You know, so you have to be kind of on, you know, and charming and all these kind of stuff. It was like, there was a lot, you know, to kind of always constantly be that. But to know that I could do that and survive in that way was really empowering as well. And then, yeah, so then I'm back in Sydney and then I'm gigging again. And then COVID happened and then I came up here to the Northern Rivers and been here ever since. And obviously a lot has happened, you know, which I can't go into details, but that's the general kind of timeline from since I left school of where I've been and what I've kind of, you know, done without obviously going into details about people that I've met, experiences that I've had in detail and like just, yeah.
But the Stevie Wonder experience, that's an amazing.
Totally.
You saw him live.
Yeah, seen some beautiful artists and
you
stuff
get to see many amazing artists there while you were in the US, other than Stevie Wonder.
So many.
So many.
Yeah, and a lot of it as well.
What's out of all of that, upheaval life in New York and being in Europe and Australia? Would you change it for anything, for the life of a different kind, if there was an alternative to it that you could have changed? Would you? Or would you rather just have this experience and that led you to where you are now?
Well, I think that not many people have done what I've done. And it really made me who I am more so today. And I'm grateful for it. And I think that, yeah, there's no regrets and I would do it all again. I think it's been out on the fringe. It's been out there on the edge.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was very much, there was moments where I feel like a lot of people might have gone home, you know? They would have been like, I'm done. Like,
Too challenging.
And I was like, nah, like, I don't give up easily, you know? It's both my strength and my weakness.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, like, I'll keep doing something until the bitter end,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So you're composing a lot of tracks now? Because I saw you. That's what I wanted to ask you. Before I forget, you play so many instruments, and I'm not just saying you play. You play super beautifully. Like, it's emotionally profound when I listen to you. You play them beautifully. You play trumpet as well.
Saxophone.
Yeah.
I play the trumpet a little bit. I wouldn't say that I play the trumpet.
That's what
saxophone
I meant.
is,
The sax.
yeah.
The sax. Oh.
Yeah, saxophone's fun.
What else?
Harmonica.
Oh yes, I've seen you in that.
Guitar, obviously.
Guitar, of
singing,
course, vocals.
Yeah. Drums.
Drums, yes, drums.
Piano.
Wow.
All the variations of
bass
guitar.
As well. You play bass, yeah.
So, by variations of guitar, I mean bass, ukulele. You know, like what else is there? Like. Yeah, all the things that have strings on them, I can play.
Yeah.
Except for violin. Like, yeah, don't really know how to play violin. It's very hard.
You think if you play violin, you'll probably be able to play the cello?
Yeah, if I worked it out, it's just a matter of putting in time.
Yeah.
So, like, when you focus on one instrument and you get good at that instrument, the knowledge that you've learnt about music is then transferable to other instruments. So then it just becomes a matter of trying to translate that knowledge into the skills that are needed on that instrument. And so usually it's like, so for instance, you know, say playing like guitar, it's like you're pushing on strings and you're working with this like grid kind of like system where it's like you got 6 strings and then you got frets going this way, and so you go up and down and this way, and so there's this whole like kind of, it's like a matrix. It's like spatial, and you've got shapes and you've got all these kind of things. Your hands are facing this way, they're kind of opposite. And then so if you're going to go to a piano, then it's like, okay, it's just that. It's still using fingers, but it's going like this. And instead of being like a grid matrix, it's all just linear, which is a lot easier to understand, which is why people often teach music theory on the piano. Because it's, okay, left is low, right is high, you know. But then it becomes a challenge as a guitarist to then think about things that you would play on guitar that become second nature, to then translate it onto this medium. And then so practice is had, and then you get more and more proficient at being able to do that. That same sort of logic just goes from one instrument to the next, and that's how you do it, you know. It's very easy for people to go, wow, or like, you know, when someone's doing something, it's like watching a magician do a magic trick, because they don't understand that the magician has spent hours and hours and hours and hours of countless practice training to be able to do that illusion, right?
Yes.
So that when they do it, it looks like magic.
It looks flawless, yes.
And
Flawless.
That's how a musician is. So a musician is like a magician. You're doing hours and hours and hours of countless practice to make something look effortless, but it does become in a way effortless, but it's like, to be able to get to that point, you have to have done the work. And a lot of people don't want to do the work. And a lot of people just think, oh, you're so lucky. You like it's you're lucky. It's God given. You know, like no, I worked for it. You know, I worked for it. You know, and you can too. No. You're lucky. They don't want to work for it.
You have to do the work with anything. Anything.
Exactly.
I don't think it's to do with luck. Luck is just an appearance, that seemingly so, but if you don't sit down and paint the picture, it's not going to be like mirror on the wall, please give me the
exactly
the whole thing. It doesn't. Your brain also needs to be trained. It's like food for the brain. So if it doesn't get fed,
exactly,
it just starves.
You have to learn. If we're not learning in life, then we're kind of missing the point.
But emotionally, it's very fulfilling. You know, once you practice art and take it to that level. Which instrument did you learn first? Did you teach yourself, or did you go to? Did anyone? How did you get introduced to your family?
Yes,
was it musical?
I'm self-taught. My dad plays a little bit of guitar.
Yeah.
You know, like he kind of strums around and stuff. So growing up, there was a guitar in the house. But I wouldn't say that my dad's a musician. You know what I mean? Like he's more hobbyist. You know, like he would, because my definition of what a musician is somebody that's obsessed. You have to do it. There's no other choice. Somebody that's a hobbyist plays it and they can play a few things and they kind of have a bit of fun, you know? Growing up, I feel like, the guitar was there, but I never really kind of played it. It'd be occasionally, sometimes I'd pick it up and have a little play, but I didn't really get serious about it until I was 16 with guitar. Previous to that, I would say I probably got into percussion more, like banging on things. So I was always like, I'd get pots and pans out of the kitchen and I'd be like banging on things. And if I was at school, I'd be like kind of tapping on my legs or tapping on the table. So I think like rhythm kind of came first for me. And then when I was 16, it was guitar that I picked up. And then with guitar, then it was singing that followed. You know, like listening to like beautiful artists like Jeff Buckley and like singing along and like trying to sing like him, you know. And
Don't we all?
wailing around, you know, trying to do him. And just like, and then after a while, you know, you kind of like, you get to a point with a musical instrument sometimes where you get to a level where you do feel quite, you feel like you can do whatever you want to do on it.
Okay.
And then it becomes a matter of like, well, what can I do? And then sometimes it's even more daunting because it's like, well, fuck, I can actually do whatever I want on this thing, but now it's just a matter of like, what do I want to do and what can I, and then it starts like, you're kind of like, well, you just have to have good ideas, right? And then that's kind of confronting, because it's like, okay, well, if you can, because if you have the excuse that you can't do something because you're not skilled enough to play something,
Yeah.
then that's an excuse of like, oh, well, that's why I can't do it and express. But if you know that you can do it, then it gets to a level of like, well, what are you going to do? You know? And so sometimes you end up with that, like, oh shit, like, and that's where it becomes spiritual and becomes more like, what are you going to do? How are you going to express yourself?
Yeah.
But you get that level with it, and then you go, okay, well, sometimes you don't have anything to say, or sometimes you don't. So you feel like, oh, I'll pick up something else, and I'll work on something else, and I'll do the practice on something else. And part of the reason why I picked up the saxophone was I actually broke my wrist. So I was skateboarding late at night, quite drunk, and was doing a manual down a hill in very dark, very steep, hit a pothole, flew off, landed on my wrists, broke this right hand really badly. Knew I'd broken it straight away. And then had to go, like, it was late at night, so I was like, I got back to the warehouse I was staying at. That's a whole other story. There's like 12 people living in this crazy warehouse at this point. And sculled like this whole, like a massive amount of like Johnny Walker spirits just to knock myself out, because I was in so much pain. Woke up throbbing after a few hours, called an Uber, went to the hospital. Like, yeah, it's broken. And they put me in a cast. At that point, I was playing and busking and then doing gigs, and so I couldn't do it. And rather than get really upset that I couldn't play and be like, what am I going to do? I decided to buy a saxophone, and because I knew that I could play like this.
Yes, like that.
And so I played sax all day, every day for like, 5 hours a day.
How long did until you got good at it? How many?
Probably,
months or?
Yeah, probably like it took, I feel like it was a lot easier for me to get a good sound out of saxophone than it was to get a good sound out of trumpet. I had tried to do trumpet previous, and it's so hard, that instrument.
Because the way to blow is not easy.
It's different, yeah.
What about the breathing arrangement? Of when you know, because to sing is one thing, but you have to hold your breath and blow in a certain way with the sax.
It's the same for singing. It's like supported,
Yeah.
You've got to have support of the air in your breath, with your diaphragm, and it's the same with the sax. So saxophone's very similar to singing, actually, which is probably why I gravitated towards it and made it a bit more easier for me than the trumpet. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I picked up saxophone, and then like just other things kind of come, and it's like harmonica's cool because you can just have it in your pocket. And
yes.
So I've always got I always usually have a harmonica with me. Like, let's see, do I have one?
You can play something if you want to.
No, I don't have one with me. It's rare. I usually always have a harmonica in my pocket. So the one time I don't. But usually I have a harmonica in my pocket, and it's like, you're at a party or you're at somewhere, and if it's in the right kit, you pull it out, and you can just
you can just
fun,
you can just be sitting on a driver's seat in your car and looking
exactly.
at the ocean, and then you're like.
But that's what I do. That's actually the most time I practice harmonica is driving. So like I'll be like driving down the highway on long drives, harmonica, and it's a great way to practice because you can do that while you're driving.
Because it's right, but also you can.
You put it on the thing, hands free. People just see me drive. What the hell is that guy doing?
High drive. That's so cool.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Well, have some of these.
What is it?
Carrot with ginger.
Okay.
With lime and orange.
Yeah, I'll try a little bit.
I love how you hold the cup. It's between a man and a woman. Sorry, just like this. I love it. I just have to. But that's the great difference that I love. When a man holds like their girlfriend, there'd be like in Australia. I've seen they'd have the bottle of beer here, and then like.
Yeah.
And the girls is all like princessy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
That's
strong.
nice. Very strong. Gingery.
Yes.
Blow your head off.
I know. You know what Carly said to me? Like, I won't get sick for the next few years drinking a cup of it.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, just,
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. This has been real nice.
It's a pleasure to have you. It's really wonderful because actually this is actually our first proper conversation other than hello and goodbye.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm really thankful that you share your experiences. They're very profound, and the fact that you end up being in Byron, and now that you found a studio, you might end up stay for a little longer. Now you have access to studio.
Well, the studio is more like a practice space.
Yes.
So I could, of course, do some recording in there, but it's something that's temporary, at least for now. But I am planning, like, I want to build a tiny home. So that's kind of like,
that's cool.
so Northern Rivers, this area, this is home for me.
Yeah.
I would like to build a tiny home and then get out of the truck, have some more stability in my life. And then I think with that will come the ability to be able to record and put down my music.
Would you like to be like far from would you like to be in the bushlands or in like near the coast? This tiny home thing?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough that my family has a place in Ballynudgel.
Oh, nice.
Which they just got at the end of last year. And so it's an acre. So it's big enough, like it's not too big, but it's big enough that I can put my tiny home somewhere.
It's not too far.
And then just sling them some money. And
it's not too far to drive from here too.
Exactly. And then I can kind of have a nice little base, because Lord knows I can't afford to bloody buy my own house, it's kind of like, so this is like a workaround. And then I can then like travel and go do different things,
Yes, for sure. Wow. That's going to be fantastic. You having next gig anywhere here?
Yeah, well, I'm actually for the first time in a long time, I don't have any gigs this weekend. It's just nice. I've got a bit of time off.
You had a gig last Friday.
Yeah, so most weekends, I'm like pretty much every weekend I'm gigging. Every weekend I've usually got a few shows. I play at the Northern, as you know, every week.
Yeah.
So that's like one of my regular gigs.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think of, like, how Blues Fest was cancelled?
Yeah.
And, Nick from the Music Shops, and he did a lot of work to put all the cancelled musicians to go into the venues and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very successful.
Yeah.
Even though it was cancellation, but for the venues, for the town, for the whole Shire, for Brants, the Whalers, you were at the Great Northern, the back room, it was filled. And like I saw Touch Farran, and there's so many other, just fantastic. I thought it was better than Blues Fest.
Same.
And
I did a post on the Byron Bay community page saying so, and it kind of blew up. It got like 1,000 likes. I was like,
oh wow!
I was like, maybe we should do this every year.
I was just gonna ask you if you think, because I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
You should do this. The success of it is amazing.
Just do it every year.
Why not? Yeah. And it's great for all the business.
Exactly.
For the locals.
There's that, we don't have to change that. It's already
because you know what, it's focused also, it gives a lot of venue, opportunities for local artists like you.
Exactly, yeah.
And I really love it because it's not, we get to see Jeff Martin and all the other big acts there, but then we get to see you sharing stage with them. And, it's so nice to see all that blend of musicians on a local, in your town, and free venues as well.
Yeah. I think it'd be a beautiful thing, and I think it's the natural progression. And finally, it's kind of going back to what it was, because did you know that Blues Fest, that's how it started, because it was like the arts factory. They used to have like international musicians from all over the world that would come there and play big shows there at the Arts Factory.
Yes, at the Buddha Bar,
and then that eventually ended up turning into Blues Fest, like all these kind of things, because Peter Noble was involved with the arts factory around that time, and then created a festival instead of it being at the arts, and then it just and then it became Blues Fest, and now like the Blues Fest is gone. It should go back to how it was, and bring it to the venues.
I mean, even if they have Blues Fest, they should have at least this optional thing like this, like what happened with the recent cancellation. I mean, it's just so. Did you go to the Burley Heads? Is it Burley Heads Blues? Burley's Blue?
Oh, Broad Beach.
Broad Beach, yeah.
What is it called though? Blues on Broad Beach?
Yeah, Blues on Broad Beach. Did you go there?
No. Didn't go. I should be playing it.
That's what I thought. I asked because not to see. I thought as in meant that you perform.
I asked by a few people. They're like, "Are you playing?" I mean, I should be.
They didn't invite you.
No, I mean, well, the thing is, you have to like apply for things like that, right? And I'm so bad at that stuff. I'm not actually. I mean, you said before, like I'm disciplined. I am in certain aspects, but in others, I'm very disorganized. I'm very much a person that kind of works day by day,
Yeah.
And like I do my thing, and I'm focused, but thinking ahead months and months, and then being like, okay, for this, I really need a manager, really.
Yeah.
I need somebody that just goes and applies for things for me and does things and
because if somebody do the bureaucratic side, management for you, you just need to put your artistic thing to whatever, work on the stuff, and then they tell you, okay, you've got a gig here, you've got a gig there.
Exactly. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. That's
you
the dream.
manage your money. Don't let anybody else manage your money.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll manage my money. I'll pay them.
But they book the tickets for you.
They do all that stuff. That'd be good. So calling out managers.
Them, pay them well. Yeah.
Well, I reckon that's us done.
Yes.
Pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure to talk to you, Maria. Thank you so much. And
my pleasure.
I will see you in the gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right.